Tonight I'm doing a demo on black paper with colored pencil. I am using the same paper I've been using for the last couple demos, which is the Royal Talons Black watercolor paper. It also handles really well with colored pencil and mixed media. I'm using my favorite colored pencils, which are Prismacolor. They're very, very soft, very blendable, and highly pigmented. I've got my favorite sharpener here, which is of course the Faber Castell fantastic 3-hole sharpener. And then I have a little stick eraser put out by Tough Stuff, which I have on hand for cleaning up my edges. So I'm using very minimal colors on here because, like I said before in my last demo, I really like to let the paper work for itself and to also showcase a little bit of its talents in our demo. As you can see, I've already started the lining for my work right here, which I'm going to be doing a Jaguar on black paper. I'm going to start with a white pencil. I've actually already penciled this in with graphite with a very, very light line. You don't really want to go too harsh on this because you don't want to see the indentation of your line. So what I'm really going to just be doing is the outline or the highlights of where my Jaguar would be lit up. This, of course, is going to be the edges of his ears, the edges of his fur, and anywhere where light might hit. I've chosen only a handful of colors for this demo. I'm going to be working with primarily blues and white. I am going to be using yellow for his eye. I'm just putting in the rough sketch of his fur right now. I can always go back in and work a little bit more color or a little bit more pigment into there. But my main thing is to be able to pencil in my line work that I've been working on. So this is giving me a definitive line and a definitive area and direction for my piece to go. Now I'm making him super blocky. Of course, Jaguars have a really thick, blocky head. So I'm making him pretty big on here. And where I want the majority of my light to come is going to be glancing off of his face and the top of his head. So the moonlight would be glancing down in this direction of our big cat. Now, like I said before, I really do like to let the paper work for itself. We're kind of going in a backwards direction here. Instead of going from light to dark, we're going from dark to light by adding in highlights and adding in our color. I'm working in some blues here. Give it a little bit of dimension, just a little bit of some color there. My primary work, though, is going to be in white. Now you can see there's quite a bit of texture on this paper. It is watercolor paper, so it's going to demand that we lay a bit more pigmentation down in here, which is fine. These pencils are really soft, really highly pigmented. They've got beautiful, beautiful color to them. I've also got a pale blue that I'm working with, that I'm getting a large majority of my brighter colors with. It's also helping me blend out the darker blue and the white. Now I do have a blending pencil that I'll be using for this. And what's great about these is these really help create a blended look with your colored pencil without adding any excess color into it. And we can continue going back over and adding more color if we want to. I want to throw in more of that dark blue there. Again, have a bit of a break from where the paper is. I'm trying to make sure to leave quite a bit of black in here. I really do want to use that negative space to the absolute utmost ability that I'm able to. Really utilize that black there. Bring in a line of where his haunch will be and meet his shoulder. And like I said, I like using this blue to kind of cut out that really harsh line of white there. Kind of soften the edges. I'm also going to go in with a little bit of black here, which will definitely look different than the background of black since it is an entirely different tone. But it'll give us a little bit of differentiation. It is darker than the paper we're working with, especially when I start to add the rosettas of his spots. Now, like I said before, the whole point is not to cover up the black area that makes up the Jaguar. We're allowing this paper to really speak for itself and be a medium in this as well. You don't want to cover up all that paper, especially because it helps it blend into the background. Can go back in with some brighter white lines here. And again, this gives me the ideas of my highlights. And I'm going to draw those out on his muzzle here, since this is where the majority of the light is coming. And I'm using that black to really create a sharp cut in the paper here to give us a defined line between the paper and the black lines that I'm introducing into his head. Again, I'm throwing in some darker shadows there. I want to make a bit of a break between the rest of that paper. And I'm just using this blending pencil very sparingly. I don't want it to look too blended out. I'm also going in with some rough hatching here to give the illusion of fur, especially on my lines, so they don't look so harsh. Now you can go back in and really start to lay the land of where you want your rosettas to be. Now, because he's a black Jaguar, it's going to be very, very, very faint. And just have a little bit of an inkling of where they might be. And as I had said, the only other color I brought in was yellow, and this was to work with his eye. And of course it's a phenomenal contrast to the blue and the black, and really gives a wonderful sharp image against those darker colors. So this is just one of the many ways that you can use black paper, especially to a full advantage. And especially if you want to work with very minimal materials, this paper is a wonderful mixed media. It's fantastic for watercolor, as we've already seen, and it's amazing for colored pencil. I will be posting the final results of this drawing on the page after I'm finished with it. I'll post it below the demo. Thank you for joining me. Bye!